Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden, and this cozy-looking guy next to me, this is Tim, and this is the Second Legacy, and thank you for stopping by. Today, we got some footballs to spike, Tim. We're going to celebrate some victory. Then we're going to dive right into some Oregon, more victory, and then we're going to hit some G3s, which will bring a tear to the eye. We have got a show for you guys. You're going to love every second. Make sure you guys leave a comment right down there. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. And with that, Tim, how are you doing on this fine Thursday morning?
Oh, it's a great day. You know, the one thing that sucks about winter is we do not get sunshine. It feels like I'm back in Seattle, man. It is nothing but cloud cover. It gets a little depressing. But other than that, everything's just beautiful.
Yeah.
That's Latin
sunshine
for
is nothing we're short of. It is. You nailed that. Florida is nothing short on sunshine. We got sunshine the coldest year of the month. It's like, hey, you want some sun? It's still going to be a little brisk, but you will have sun. So
define brisk,
really
like 80.
It's just location. No, sir. Mind your business. It is a crazy brisk 64 degrees this morning. So you just mind your business.
Dude, I'd be walking down to the mailbox in my whitey tighties in 64 degree weather.
Yeah, you'd be doing that for different reasons. Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. You are the reason that HOAs exist. But anyway, let's talk about Ohio, Tim. Let's talk about Ohio because
that's my next door neighbor.
We should. It is. You're low. It is actually. I think this is partially your fault. Actually, this is a good thing, but it's your fault.
Yeah.
So, Tim, what would you say if I told you that Ohio just released something from the Attorney General's office, and they say the change in concealed carry law did not, I repeat, did not bring violent crime to the Buckeye State? What would you say?
Oh, they got to be mistaken.
They must be.
It has to be. Yeah,
something's off.
It's propaganda. There's something. It's propaganda. It's something. There's something wrong here. There's no way they would say that.
Right. It can't be because they added guns and they added concealed carry and they removed permitting from the state.
Yep.
So therefore, I'm pretty sure in the gun control math world, that means the entire state's going to cease to exist.
Yes, running gun battles on the street and people just deleting each other ad nauseam. Yeah, it's just going to be. It's just crazy. It's pure chaos when they do those things. You know,
I think you're right.
28 states are almost completely gone now because of this. You know, the populations have dwindled to 5 or 6 people being left in each of those states that have passed constitutional carry.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're the best shots, but they're very lonely. It's very weird. You know, I think speaking of propaganda, we got to start this out right because let's go to Moms Demand Action. And let's see what they said on the timestamp, because the internet is this feisty thing that doesn't forget. This is number 7. Dr. Button Pusher, throw that bad boy up for me. Shameful. Ohio legislature sends permitless carry to Governor DeWine's desk, despite opposition from law enforcement. Moms demand action. Students demand action. Call on Governor DeWine to veto it. And that was March 2nd of 2022. In fact, Tim, here's some more data. They told us this would happen. They told us, so we knew. We did. This is number 8. Quote, "It is shameful that our lawmakers chose to repeatedly ignore the concerns of law enforcement and passed a bill that would place our communities and the people whose job it is to protect us in danger," a volunteer with the Ohio chapter of Moms Demand Action has said. Well, Tim, they said it right there. They warned us.
Yep.
The 5 population, like you mentioned, they did.
Yep.
They did. Man, sarcasm's strong with us this morning because that didn't happen.
No.
But that's so weird.
That's what they do. They blame guns for everything. I mean, they blame guns for global warming and cow farts. I mean, they just blame it's the guns. Yeah. I mean, how many times you got to get online and see the little memes? It's the guns, which will dovetail into one of our goofy gun grabber segments later this afternoon. Because it's only the guns when I want it to be the guns, but when it's not the guns, it's not the guns. But sometimes it is the guns, and when it's the guns, it's definitely the guns. And that comes from our Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Exactly. No, you nailed it. And then that's like typical gun controller math. But you didn't carry the magazine. You got to carry the magazine because then that gives a different. It's complicated advanced math. But anyway, this is number 3. So this is where we've been, Tim, because you remember this was a terrible day. The day of the culling began on this day, beginning on June 13th, 2022. Ohio became the 23rd state to allow its citizens to carry a concealed weapon without a permit. But in the year following, crime involving guns dropped across Ohio's 8 largest cities as a whole, and 6 of the 8 individually. Tim, that can't be.
Gosh, it's almost like that's what we've been saying all along.
Man, it is. That football is in my hand. The mental football. I'm about to spike it so hard.
Well, you know, it's the gun grabbers are out there telling us that we're all dying, and you know, mass shootings are occurring, you know, every 6 to 8 inches on American soil every day. Millions and trillions and billions and trillions and gazillions of people are dying. Oh wait, Joe Biden's polling low. Guess what, folks? We solved the crime problem.
Goodness. We solved the problem. It went away.
Yeah, we're back to 1968 levels. We just ran the numbers last night, and holy cow! I mean,
would you look at that?
Yeah,
man.
So
I'll tell you, it is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But you know what we're doing? What are we up to? 28 states now with permitless carry. What
I believe it's 28.
Yeah, and what we commonly refer to as constitutional carry, and it's no different than the change that happened beginning in the late 80s, going in the 90s, heavily pushed in the 2000s, and that was just issuing concealed carry permits to citizens in general, right? You know, 30 years ago, most states didn't have a law on the books. Now, all 50 do. And then we didn't stop there because we aren't happy with being taxed, because that's what a permit is a tax.
Absolutely.
You're not happy being taxed and getting the blessing from the king to be able to exercise our rights. So we pushed even harder for what we now refer to as constitutional carry. We're up to 28 states. And guess what, folks? According to the gun grabbers, crime's down. It's miraculous. Oh my gosh. It's the Safer Communities Act.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was?
That's what they claim.
Oh, man. I was over here, Tim, thinking that it was something about free men and free women defending themselves using their rights, but it was actually the Safer Communities Act?
Well, what you're mentioning is the truth. What I'm talking about is the propaganda. So anyway.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yes.
Oh, man. I fell for it again, Tim. I did. And if you guys, by the way, are new to Second Legacy, this is the sarcasm vibe that we put out sometimes. This is not really our stances. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to read between the lines. Thick. You know, we can.
Between these three.
Anyway. I didn't do that. I did 4, man. That's on you.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's right. Because I'm an 80s baby. That's right. That's how we roll right here.
You're trying.
I am. Oh, don't be like that. Don't be like. I'm trying to be cool.
You don't have enough grade to be an 80s
4.
baby.
I was doing. I caught the tail end. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway, back to this. So let me show you. Exactly, rumble strip. It happens all the time. We don't want Dr. Button Pusher to yell at us, so let's get back to this. So this is number 5, Tim, in the payoff here. I would never have seen this coming. Researchers analyzed data spanning from 2021 to 2023, a year before and a year after the law took effect, focusing on crimes involving firearms, verified gunshot detection alerts, and a number of officers struck by gunfire. The study showed significant decreases in the number of crimes involving firearms in Akron, Columbus, and Toledo, and across all 8 cities combined. Well, you know, maybe it's like 1 or 2%, Tim. What do you think the percentage is? You think it's like a 1%? Because, I mean, after all, more guns were bought and more concealed carry or constitutional carry, probably like 1%, right?
Yeah, it's probably, I would go with, yeah. No, I'm going to guess with, it's probably fairly substantial. I'm going to go over 1%.
Oh,
I'm going to play the prices right.
Yeah.
And
you caught my setup. Okay. Nothing
well,
sneaks
I mean,
by
it could go one of 2 ways. It could be, you know, a really high number, or it could be a really low number, kind of like the number of people that have complied with the Illinois assault weapons ban and registration scheme.
Ooh.
So where are we? Are we 0.3, 0.6, or did we make it over the 1% mark here?
That was too soon. They're still salty about that one, Tim. They're still salty.
Those are my neighbors on the other side.
That's right. You're closer. I'm going to take my football that you borrowed to spike, and I'm going to spike it myself, because here we go. The rate of crime in Parma fell the most by 22%, followed by Akron and Toledo, each with decreases of 18%. Rates for Dayton and Cincinnati increased by 6 and 5, respectively. 22 and 18%.
Which will average out to
20%
across the board. 20%.
Yeah.
That's almost significant. I mean, that's almost like 20 out of 100. Weird. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or the occasional. Yeah, exactly. You know, 5 out of 20. You know, pretty much any way you could do it there. 1 out of like
we
5.
Could throw in
you know,
we could throw in a little Kamala math. You know.
I don't want to do that.
Do not come. Do not come.
Trump had a response to that, I believe. I don't know.
No, he didn't. God, no, he didn't. He didn't have it. He didn't. He did not have a response to it because YouTube doesn't like those kind of responses. Oh, Trump.
Maybe we can hear from Trump later in the video, so it's not associated. Anyway, let's keep going.
You are just you are just destined to get me in trouble on YouTube. But anyway, yeah, 22 and 18%, Tim. I think we can officially put the football in a victory spike and say they were wrong. Constitutional carry was not the end of the world. Crime actually went down with more guns purchased and more people carrying them. Nanny boo boo. We win. Go away.
Yeah, I'm going to jump on X this afternoon and see how much they're talking about this.
Do it.
Moms demand action and Giffords and Everytown. I'm sure they're out there, talking about this and apologizing for being wrong. Oh, what am I thinking? They never apologize.
What are you thinking?
They'll just change the narrative.
It's for the safety, which I want to bring this up. I don't want to, drive this too hard into the ground, but I'm going to anyway. At what point do we just call out the fact that the entire argument for preventing constitutional carry from the gun controlling side of the aisle was all about safety? Safety was just achieved in bigger numbers than they've ever achieved with any type of gun control. And yet they still exist, because if the whole point was safety and the entire idea was to reduce crime and the entire idea was to reduce, quote, gun crime, it just went down 18 to 22%. I question the need for your existence on a political organization. I have questions, Tim. Well, because what's the point?
Let me play devil's advocate here. This drop in crime wasn't because more people were carrying guns without permits. No, actually, that caused crime to spike like 223% or something like that. But thankfully, the most comprehensive gun control law in 30 years was passed. And that's what really brought this down, because, the 300 people that they claim brought the national crime average down 20%. Those 300 people that this most incredible gun control law in 30 years was responsible for. Well, those 300 people lived in Ohio, and they're evenly distributed between all these 8 cities. So that's the opposite narrative. Just
that's impressive.
I've been hanging out with these people online long enough. I know how they think, dude.
I tell you what, that's go like 40 to 45 people per city. And national reduction. You're right, because they did in a previous video. We did mention there was 300 of those most violent people that brought down all of the gun violence across the entire nation. It turns out it was only Ohio. Man, if we had just built a wall around Ohio, this would have been fine. We didn't know
Ohio was the source of our problem the entire time.
And, Tim, genius. And I particularly like how you tied in the most impactful gun legislation in 30 years, which also did nothing and didn't go far enough. But it's a baby step from their own mouths.
Right. This isn't what we wanted. We know it's not really going to do much, but it's a stepping stone to greater things.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh, it saved the world. Look at this.
It saved the world.
Re-elect Joe Biden.
It's comical. It's so comical. Have you seen that inflation is still down, and so is gun violence, and immigration doesn't exist? Have you seen all these things, Tim? 2024 is a great year.
I know.
It's fantastic.
I know. It's been amazing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
We're down to $3 a gallon gas. I mean, I still have pictures on my phone from 2019 where it was $1.33 a gallon.
Man.
But hey, we're crushing it over here. We're anyway.
I tell you what.
Rumble strip.
No, you're right. No, you're right. I think it's a fun one, though, because when I started driving, my actual first day of driving, gas was 99 cents a gallon, and I thought it was a travesty to go to $1.
Oh, yeah. I remember those days, man.
Well, gas was a nickel for you, right?
Yeah. Well, we used to make our own gas. We had our own wells.
Oh, wow.
We drilled them with hand tools. We didn't have shoes.
That's impressive.
And usually it was winter for 12 months, and we were butt naked. And I had to walk to school uphill both ways to school. In the snow,
all those conditions, and you had to refine your own gas.
Yeah, and we
That's
had to
impressive.
refine our own gas. It was a tough time. Yeah,
it was
the 80s were unbelievably bad.
Oh man, they were. God, that's so silly. Now that was a rumble strip.
Okay,
all right. So let's go to the next one, because we got another football. My footballs are all deflating because I'm spiking them so hard, Tim. We had another victory in Oregon. Would you believe it?
No.
Another Measure 114. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Let me paint this picture for you. If this is not gun controllers in a nutshell, I don't know what is. So, you know that Measure 114 was ruled unconstitutional at a state level. We've covered it. We talked about it a lot. It's pretty much the most egregious ballot measure they've ever passed. Well, the gun controllers decided that they wanted to have another hearing. And instead of saying new arguments or ways in which they think it should be argued further, they went with the old amazing married conversation tactic of, no. I'm right. You just didn't understand me. So let me explain it again so you can understand fully what I'm saying, because the problem's not on the sender, it's on the receiver. How many times has that worked out in life, Tim?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. You're not getting it. Okay. We're not going to change our arguments. You just need to pay closer attention. I mean, I know you're probably
Exactly.
a first year law student and the robe is just something you stumbled into yesterday, but please listen to us. Hear us out. We want to tell you this again. We'll
Yeah.
speak more slowly this time and maybe you'll get it. I'm sure the judges love that type of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love that, though? I mean, like, who doesn't love being condescended to? It's so great. Well, so we had another measure follow up on the same issue that was ruled unconstitutional. And this is in Oregon, so I'll kind of burn through this pretty quick. But it's the exact same judge, the exact same ruling hearing. Listen to the reasons that the gun controllers brought forward. So this is number 12, okay? So this is the things that they're trying to bring forward, where they say, no, you're wrong, I'm right. I'm just going to run through these. It's 1 through 7. Defendants object to the court's finding that the FBI will not conduct background checks. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a weird one. Defendants object to the court's finding that parties agreed that Measure 114 delays the purchase of firearms for a minimum of 30 days. It is literally a waiting period in there.
I know.
Don't
believe your lying eyes, Your Honor. That's not what it really means.
Right. It's literally like, we're going to have to wait for a very long time. 30 days sound good? Yeah, sounds great. That's not in there. You're stupid. Defendants object to the court finding that defendants failed to present public safety evidence. I love this one because they're like, no, we told you all the talking points from Mama's Been Action Every Time for Gun Safety that weren't actually based in real data points. They're just based in talking points. So you just didn't understand them. Defendants object to the court's findings regarding ownership of firearms. It's kind of a weird one. Defendants, you'll love this one, number 5. Defendants object to the court's finding that the media sensationalizes mass shootings.
Oh, no, they certainly don't. I mean, it's not like some slob of a human goes out there and makes a movie called Bowling for Columbine and makes millions on it. It's not like they run these news cycles 24/7 when something bad happens to push their narrative. Oh, no, they never. Why would they do something like that? That would be so unconscionable. I mean, gosh.
Yeah. They would never.
Never.
And then number 6, this one I found fascinating. Defendants object to the court's finding that, quote, almost all immigrants to the Oregon Territory had firearms. Now, what I think that they're talking about here is the point that when Oregon was established, it was in the state constitution that they had the right to keep and bear arms, which mimics another one that I just can't remember where it's from.
Yeah. Somewhere out east. Yeah.
Somewhere, some big national federal document that's the greatest. Anyway, don't matter. So they're basically saying not everyone who settled this territory had guns. You can't say everyone did. No, everyone didn't. You're right. The dead ones didn't.
Yeah. Literally, who would go out west in a wagon, a horse-drawn wagon, with no weapon to feed themselves, much less defend themselves with?
Right.
Nobody. I mean,
who's going to do that?
I mean, I'm sure there were some lunatics. Maybe the Donner Party didn't have anything, and that's why they wound up. Well, never mind. I don't want to talk about their culinary preferences in that instance. But
that's terrible.
That is a bad joke. I mean, it's truly tasteless. I mean, that's a tough one to chew. Anyway,
it is. It eats itself. Gotcha.
I was going for a point somewhere. Oh yes, but anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure pretty much all the settlers had some type of firearm.
Yeah, they did. I think so. And now this last one, Tim, number 7. This is the one that I like. Defendants object to the court's finding that the magazine is a necessary component of a firearm. It's what?
It's not necessary.
It's not. No,
you can single load.
It's only a feeding device. Yeah, you can rack the slide, drop a bullet in by itself, and then you can enjoy your Second Amendment freedoms.
What about single shots and revolvers? They don't have magazines. I mean, yeah. I mean,
right? Exactly.
They'll just glob on anything.
They have cylinders.
Yeah.
They really will. They had these circular things with holes drilled out. They're called cylinders. They even have speed reloaders, Tim. Oh,
you can't have those. Oh. Yeah.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible. But the thing that I like about this, the rest of these things in here are pretty dumb. But the one that they actually argued around the magazine, that one's actually important. Because if it falls here, and it's basically stating in the Oregon State Court that a magazine is a necessary component of a firearm, that kind of sets the precedent to undermine their big push of LCMs or large capacity magazines nationwide. One of the things that we like to talk about a lot, how it basically works its way through the system and precedent takes and it jumps over here and it's eventually ends up at the top.
Yeah.
They can't have a court sitting here saying it's a necessary component of a firearm. We can't do that.
Yeah.
That'd be bad.
No. Yeah. You can't state the obvious in a court document. But anyway.
No, you can't. You can't. But after these 7 points were articulated great and everything was rephrased, I'm sure the judge totally understood when he heard it the second time, except that he didn't. Here's number 13. Judge Raschio's conclusion repeated. Pursuant to the court, using its equitable power, declares and adjudges ballot measure 114 facially unconstitutional in all of its applications under Oregon Constitution. The court makes this declaration to settle and afford relief from uncertainty and insecurity with the respect to the right to bear arms in Oregon. Ballot measure 114 is permanently enjoined from implementation. Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Wow. Another judge that gets it. And the beauty of all this, they did it under Oregon's Constitution. They haven't even gotten to the federal Constitution yet, which would also say you can't do this.
Yeah. That's weird. You can't undo it. It's not good. It ain't no good.
Sorry.
Going back to
losers.
the roots right there. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I did. I'm just gloating over here in the glorious victory of freedom and the glorious defeat of the gun grabbers. I'm sure they'll spin it some way. It'll be interesting to see how they spin this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We look forward to going to the state Supreme Court, where we've appointed the individual Supreme Court justices at the state level, just like Colorado with the ballot measures. But don't worry, democracy is the most important thing on the planet, and Trump's trying to destroy it, even though we put these people in place. They get to do what we want, which is unconstitutional, which I tell you what, you guys keep on going.
Yep.
I think the term is FAFO.
Yep.
That's
and
what I
swear, I think it was Giffords. It was on X, boasting about, we've done such amazing things in 22 and 23. Please support us in 2024. We have even more great things in store. It's like, hey guys, I posted back to him like, you got stuffed in every single court lawsuit that went to the courts. You've got nothing. You've achieved nothing. Just like your entire history and existence, you've achieved nothing. Why would anybody give you money?
Well,
you're losers. Go away.
This would be a great time for Willy Wonka, I think, Doctor.
Good day.
That's a great one. You get nothing. Well,
and you'll enjoy it.
Speaking of nothing, and you'll like it. Speaking of nothing, Tim, I think it's time for G3, which is definitely not nothing. It's something.
Oh, G3 is always my favorite. All right, folks.
Right.
So we have a few different things here to go over. Let's start off with number 14, Doc. This is Poe Murray. Have no idea who this person is, but clearly they support. Anyway, it's the Epstein Orange Square. Let's just call it that. Anyway, so Poe has this to say. In response to an AP article saying, breaking, Justice Department sues Texas over law that would let police arrest migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. And Poe's addition to this news story?
Good take. Yep.
Yeah. U.S. guns arm the Mexican drug cartel, displacing people to the border. Republicans who obstruct gun control are fueling the border crisis. The only thing missing from this is climate change and a few other things. Gas stoves. And
that's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, what a reach that is. But this is the logic or lack thereof that we're dealing with when trying to combat these morons that want to take our rights away. These are the links that they'll go to try to connect the dots, to try to justify their positions. And it's pathetically, right. I mean, this is so out there that, I mean, wow. I mean, what's your take, Braden? I about fell out of my chair when I read that one. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why your chair was broken before filming. Maybe that was the problem. You read this tweet. Because he actually did almost fall out of his chair like 4 times. It was hilarious.
Yeah. I was doing the old Joe Biden going up the short steps into the cargo hold, Anyway.
Was that a euphemism or was that never mind?
They don't let him go up the big stairs anymore because he falls down them. So they let him go up the short steps into the cargo hold, and he still has a hard time. That's the
second into the cargo hold reference you've made. Anyway, so here's the thing with this. I'm going to do 2 things. My answer will be twofold.
Okay.
First, you are absolutely correct. The mental gymnastics that are required to take the worst polling issue for the Biden administration and Democrats nationwide and invert it in this twisted way to say, well, yes, it is bad. And yes, there is no border security. And yes, there are more people crossing than ever before. And yes, it's an issue. And yes, Kamala Harris did put it in place. But you know what else Kamala Harris did? She's now in charge of the Gun Violence Prevention Office. And therefore, since it was brought up, the reason they're immigrating is obviously guns, which were produced from the United States, which are causing it. Ipso facto, it's not Biden's fault. Immigration is bad, but guns are the problem. So really, you guys should vote Democrat. It is so impressive. It is so impressive.
Let's take Poe's post at face value. Who's the biggest exporter of American firearms to Mexico? Drum roll, please. The BATF. So maybe the solution here is to ban the BATF, and then we can stop the flow of guns to Mexico, and everybody can hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and Feliz Navidad, and all that crazy stuff, and have a good time.
Oh, I like how you mixed in an accurately cultural reference there. That was good. Man, you are.
I'm just responding to that great version of Feliz Navidad that the Colorado governor did on X. That was
that was good. That was good. You know, now comes my second point.
I'm sorry,
and I think the wiggle was nice.
Anyway,
no, I love it. The second point, and this I think is important because I notice this a lot, but sometimes it pops its ugly head. And this is a good example. When you are looking at the people who do things like this, now this is just one example. Other people do it. It's not just this individual who does this. But when you have a predetermined virtue or a moral equivalency to your political position, and therefore the next step is, well, I'm doing it for said political position because I'm morally virtuous, it quickly becomes something we've seen in history a lot. Yes, this may not be a great move right now, but I'm doing it because I'm right. They are clearly wrong. And this needs to be done in order to achieve that right. We've seen this a lot. And the left particularly, I'm not just saying just the left, but the left particularly does this thing where they try to take the moral high ground. And if you disagree with them, you are clearly not a moral person. Therefore, whatever they're about to do to you is perfectly justified because they have the moral and virtue signal ground.
Right.
And that's extremely dangerous.
But that's how leftism works across the board, not just the United States.
Well,
this is a tactic they employ everywhere they try to take power. So,
yeah, it's not just gun controllers. That's why I mentioned that. But it's something that when you equate political positions to moral superiority, bad things happen. Real bad things happen.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. Let's move on to number 15.
Take on that.
So,
too serious?
Yeah, number 15 is a good one. So this comes to us from the USA Singers. They don't have the orange square, but they are followed by Harry Sisson, which should let you know that they're probably not right in the head.
A lot, yeah.
And they had this to say: Dear Republicans, Democrats aren't coming for your guns. We're coming to give you health care, education, child care, a living wage, paid sick leave, paid vacation time, paid maternity leave, cheap green energy, affordable housing, safe neighborhoods, free phones, free food, free everything. Just vote for us. They're not coming for our guns, folks. And my response to that was a very simple one. I just jumped over to the congressional website and pulled up the 2324 assault weapons ban that's been proposed. Lie much?
Right. By Democrats.
Yeah.
By Democrats.
By Democrats. Yes. And then, of course, all you have to do is sit on X for a few minutes and it's the guns, it's the guns, it's the guns. We need an assault weapons ban now. The vice president's out there calling for that. The president's out there calling for that. But rest assured, folks, nothing to see here.
They're not.
We're not coming for your guns. We're just all about safety.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, we're just going to ban them. Yeah. I mean,
exactly. And you know what stood out there to me, Tim? Sorry to cut you off. I apologize.
No, please.
But you know what stood out to me there? There's a little bit of plagiarism here. I think there is. When I'm reading this, I think they plagiarized the little pamphlets that from like the 1800s that were given out to all the Native American tribes, because that's exactly what was said to them.
Yep.
Hey. No, we're coming to bring you civilization. We're coming to bring you education, healthcare, housing, energy, food. We're coming to help you. You just need to give up all your guns.
Hey,
and, my gosh,
hey guys,
what happened?
They sent out, flyers and riders like, hey guys, block party at Wounded Knee. Come on by, bring your guns, beer and blankets for everybody. And then when they get there, like, hey, why don't you go ahead and give us those guns? And they're like, hey, no. And then a one-sided gunfight ensues and they slaughter the Native Americans in their disarmament scheme. But they tell the story as weird. Something completely different. But anyway. That's an entire episode. Different. That would be a great episode to talk about the history of gun control in America.
Oh, we're going to. I think we're going to. Yeah. I think that's a good one, because this legitimately, when you hear things like this, that is terrifying. Like, to me anyway. That's terrifying. It's like
it's such a blatant
didn't
lie.
Work out every time we've seen this. Yeah. Like every time a government says this, it's like, yeah, that's what we're coming for, but we're just gonna not. I mean, like. Yeah. You look at the socialism of the European area, European continent and honestly, sub-Eurasian continent from like, I don't know what, but pretty much the entire 20th century, this was the line. It was all about the rich are going to take everything from you. So we're going to take everything from the rich and we're going to provide all these things as the centralized government, socialism, communism, all of these organizations
Fascism.
of political thought.
Yeah.
And all of them. And legitimately, these are the exact same points. And it's like, oh my God, all you got to do is give up your freedoms and you get all this good stuff.
Yeah. Goebbels could have written that statement
Freedom is
himself.
not a currency.
Yep.
Freedom is not a currency.
From the government, we're here to help.
Incredibly point.
All right.
That's sweet goodness. But let's go to the next one.
All right.
Because this next one's a little spicy.
All right. So this is this is from number 16, Doc, and this is from Eric. Dang it, Eric. And he had this to add to the conversation on X. Funny thing, one crazy person with an AR can and has killed how many, as compared to parents choosing? And my response to them was, well, AR-15s misused in crime every year, less than 100 murders based on FBI stats, number of abortions carried out in the United States every year, around 800,000, try harder. I mean, here they are literally trying to compare gun ownership to abortion. Okay.
Yeah.
And an abortion, which is ending a human life, a child, the same children they claim they want to protect. Well, he just calls that a choice. You know, it's like when I walk into a bank and shoot everybody and take all the money. It's just a choice.
It's choice. It's choice.
There's really no crime there. It just, they were in my way. I needed the money. Just a choice.
Well, and you know what? It's interesting that you bring that, and this is kind of like the last one. This is a good one to wrap on, because one of the things that I like to do in these conversations, and I think that we tend to do this pretty thoroughly, is look at all the hypocrisy. Look at all the different slide rulers of if this, then that, and if we talk about this and call it that, and definitions. All of the controlling apparatus that the Democrats or the liberals or the leftists, all of the apparatus that they bring forward, they're all contingent on a few different things. If this is the scenario, then you say this. If this is the scenario, you say this. But if something doesn't work, then we just change the definition so now it works. Like, you can look across the board. You can look at abortion. Well, that's just a fetus. That's a woman's healthcare choice. That's just a clump of cells. Or you could say that's not a child. Whatever it is. But then on the opposite side, for a different pillar of their sacred cows and their political platforms, it's for the children. We're taking all the gun rights for the children.
And that's what we point out.
Yes. Right. We point out all the time. And then if you look at this consistently, it doesn't make sense when you just zoom out like a little bit. And not only that, just the numbers themselves. You're right. It's like 100 murders per year, and which are terrible, by the way. But contrasting that to 800,000.
Yeah.
By the way, when you dive into those numbers, they're specifically affecting minorities. Another conflict of what they're saying is
absolutely.
It's all about the system conflicting against minorities.
The vast majority
Meanwhile,
of Planned Parenthood are in minority areas. Absolutely. And that goes back to the founder of Planned Parenthood being for the extermination of black people. But they won't talk about that either.
Margaret Sanger, look it up. It's absolutely correct.
Yep. So,
and Hillary Clinton said she's one of her idols. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of knowledge between our two noggins, and this is stuff that you need to understand and know, because these people,
they're evil.
It's about the moral equivalency.
Yep.
Well, you can put your own title on it. Anybody can do that. That's not our place to do it.
I will say it. They're just straight up evil. A lot of these folks are just pure evil. And I mean, that's on both sides, but the people we're talking about right now are just absolutely. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The mindset of making one less than others based on political preference is an evil concept.
You deplorables.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. God, I'm sitting here trying to get up back into like, we're not in trouble. We're not in trouble. And you're like, nope, we're going in.
Us right back in the hole. But anyway, okay, I'll stop.
We're going right back in the cargo hold. I tell you what.
All right.
It's the worst. Get us out of here. We're in trouble.
I'm going to come.
There it is.
All right, folks. Hey, look, if you enjoyed the episodes from Second Legacy, please share these videos, folks. Let everybody know we're out here, we're broadcasting, and we're bringing you information like this. Thank you for watching the Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.